You said I Yeah, you definitely don't want to hear that. It'll get really weird if you hear both that. If you hear me in both places, it's bad. Trust me. I did not see that. Wow. That's an impressive one, actually. Yeah. That's a crazy one. Yeah, now the big thing that they need is actually like some more stuff in South America because yeah, I know they've got like one. It's like, are you kidding me, guys? Like, all right. I mean, I know there's only like millions of people that live in South America. I'm assuming there must be some political reason they're having trouble doing that, but hello and welcome, everyone. You should now hear me, and you probably noticed pretty quickly on that we have another person up there in the corner. As per the fun stuff we've been doing here, We'll say pair programming continues, although this is going to be more of an interesting one because we are going to be looking at Azure, and I have Maxime up there, and he is a cloud developer advocate, and I will let him do the rest of his introduction, which includes pronouncing his name, including last name, correctly.
Yeah, people mess that one up like quite often.
Well, yeah, I'm an American, so like it's like I do my best, man, but
yeah, but normally only the French Canadians and the friends from France can actually do it properly, and even then they mess it up. So we're good. So for everyone wondering who I am, my name is Maxime Rouiller. I'm a cloud developer advocate at Microsoft. I focus on the .NET stack, so I'm a deep Azure lover. I love Azure. It's just freaking awesome. I am not being coerced by Microsoft to say that, by the way. It is amazing tool. That's pretty much it, man. I've been in the tech industry for like forever. I've been an MVP before that. We've met before, right? You're not an MVP yet, are you?
I used to be an MVP a while back.
Oh, so I was an MVP 6 years ago.
I was an MVP. When did I get my first award? 9 years ago. So, and then I was an MVP for a while, and I know that we've met a bunch of times at the MVP summit. So we must have overlapped. Was your first one like 6 years ago?
My first one was actually, I think, 7 years ago.
Okay, then we overlapped for a few MVP summits, I'd say. I did not make it this year, last year, but I was there the year before, so you would have seen me then.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've been hired by Microsoft. So for the past year, I was an MVP for 17 days. I was renewed on July 1st, and it got hired on July 17th. So
nice. So one of the things that I want to tell you guys that's interesting about the MVP program, because I know some of you probably noticed, like we've had a few guests on here that are Microsoft MVPs. He had the best renewal cycle. So they announced. So what they would do is they would send you an email on April 1st for some of these people. April 1st, they would tell them, yes, you got an MVP award, or no, you didn't. And like people would be like, wait a minute, was that a joke? Did I really not get renewed this year? And I sit there and I'm like, okay, Microsoft, I know that you're sending it out on the first day of the quarter, but maybe April 2nd for emails about announcements of stuff? So always a ridiculous thing.
Yeah, I was April 1st. That was actually amazing every year, especially the first one, because I'm not getting it this year. I haven't done enough, and suddenly you get this big April 1st, and you're like, are you serious? Seriously?
Yep.
Oh, cannot happen.
Always crazy. So, yeah, I was a January 1st renewal cycle. So there was no confusion on mine. So I would get a January 1st email saying whether or not I was an MVP for that year. Okay, so as you guys probably noticed, a couple of things that you've noticed. So first off, anybody that doesn't know and is just showing up, welcome, first off. My name is Brendan. This channel is Dev Chatter. We have a guest today, and he's up in the corner. And you can see some information about who he is and how to contact him, which is his Twitter is right down below his name. And you also probably noticed that for like the first time on this stream, the main window that is maximized that we're looking at is not Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. So this is totally new territory for us. This is called Chrome. It's a web browser, but
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so, and specifically we are on the Azure Portal, and we are on here because we're going to look at some stuff that we can do with Azure. And I think I want to pass it up to you up there. And
all right. By the way, your sound kind of like lowered a lot just in my ear. I don't know if it's me or. Anyway,
people in chat, let us know if there's any weirdness with audio, and I can tweak the settings.
Azure explained like I'm 5 style for me. It's like GoDaddy, but better and with more services. That's like the most basic stuff I can say. It's like
okay.
It's it allows you to host everything. And after that, it's just depend on how much you're ready to pay and how you want to structure it so that it's either easier or cheaper.
Yeah, so the idea with Azure here is that you pay by usage on everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's not that far from GoDaddy, which we're just charging a flat rate. The difference is we're either charging you a flat rate for reserved resources, or we're charging you a fixed rate per consumed resources. And we're going to cover that a little bit later, but I don't want to be talking about the pricing because I'm not here to sell you something. Yep. I'm here to talk about ideas, and I love ideas. I'm not a salesman, by the way. If you go high enough in my org chart, I do not report to the sales guys. I report to Scott Guthrie, the end. So I'm under the Scott Guthrie branch.
Yep.
That means I don't get any bonuses if you guys subscribe to Azure. Although my boss will love it, we don't get any bonuses based on that. So don't worry about it. Just enjoy the show, enjoy ideas, and let's think about new stuff.
It's one of the things that's always appreciated from Microsoft that they actually keep those arms separate.
Yeah.
That marketing and do you fall under what's called the developer division?
I'm falling under what is it called? Cloud and Enterprise, C&E.
Okay. Makes sense.
C plus E internally, but anyway, it's just we're Cloud and Enterprise, and there's this whole sales divisions which will handle interaction with partners and stuff like that. This is a different arm. It's a different branch. So let's see if they have any question here. Something today. Okay. All right.
So
give me two toes. I will not ask how you got that name, man. So so if anybody went to build, we want to start with that, or you want to start with your ideas on how you want to improve your Dev Chatter website?
I guess we can talk about what we're planning on doing. So let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about that video then. Okay, so for anybody that was here on Saturday, we were setting up a YMIO statically generated site. What that means, in quick terms, is that I have created a set of configuration for this tool. We've got it installed, and we set up our input and our theme, and those are the basics for the site. Once setting those up, all we do is we run YM, and what it does is you'll notice my output folder just disappeared, and then when this completes, it will have recreated it and filled this up with what is actually a website. Now, the reason it does this is that it allows us to create this website with what we want to have in here based on content that we would feel comfortable putting somewhere. So we can change configuration and change the site. If we want to add new files to it, new information, we can do that. And the nice thing is, since this is a static site, it uses almost no resources to host. It's lightning fast. It can be cached on browsers very easily. It can be cached on servers. And it's basically like a very lightweight, low-impact site. So there's a lot of nice benefits to it, especially if you're building, say, just a front-end brochure site. So, for example, a lot of websites for businesses, and especially small ones, can get away with this sort of site. And it's nice and easy to host and set up. So that's essentially what we've got here. And this is our Dev Chatter site that we created. Now we want to host this somewhere. And you suggested that we look at using...
all right, something. So
do you have a link to that video?
Oh yeah, just happened to close it down a little bit. Let me Azure Storage Build 2018. So while I look it up, if anybody went to build, the thing is there was a lot that was announced, and most of us cannot follow everything that happened with it. So the thing is, a lot of announcements are made in the keynotes, and a lot of them are made on the side. and we don't notice those that are made on the side because, well, there are smaller announcements, those are smaller previews or stuff that are not really meant to be consumed right away by everyone else. So let me just send you the video that I found. I will put it on the Zoom meeting so that.
Oh, I was going to say you could post it right into chat if you want.
All right, video in the chat. There you go.
Okay.
So,
thank you, folks.
If everyone want to watch that later, because obviously we're going to be more interesting for the next few minutes, but in that video there is a link, and that link is in about, what did I said yesterday, 14 minutes, 15 minutes?
I don't know, I'm going to try to jump roughly to it. And I'll keep the volume down so that you guys can hear us instead of that. No, it's a little before that. So, sorry, there it is.
Nope,
okay.
a little bit before.
I'm on it. You just have a little bit of stream lag.
Right. Oh, okay. All right. So I see it now. So here, new static website support. This was something that is what we call low key. So this is still a link that will allow you to do the West Central for static websites. So this is something that normally would be called a private preview. But since they published the URL, this basically means that by the end of the month, they have a public preview that will be coming out. So that will be available for everyone else to try. Be aware, this is just a preview stuff. I mean, we know there's many more features that you would love to see in there. And we will be asking for those. So here to say, well, support for default document, custom error document, and custom domain SSL support with the Azure CDN. I haven't played with the Azure CDN, so we will not be adding SSL support quite yet. But what interests us right now is the static website support. How do they do that? How does that work? And how do I upload my files to that website? And how do I bind a domain to it? So I have a lot of feedbacks for that I will be sending to the team. And if you want to if you guys want to try it out, you can jump to 1405 in the video, say that you got that link from that and not from me, and you can do the feedback to the storage team.
Okay, cool. So I have already gone to that link, and it ends up bringing me here. And I will mention that it adds like this little bit to my URL here that you all can see. Yeah. And that's what tells it to turn on the preview and let me try using this.
Exactly. So let's get cracking. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a resource. So
okay. So I will go to create a resource. And I assume I want storage.
Yes. So we're going to go into the storage section, and we're going to be clicking on the storage account that will be normally at the top, blob file table and queue.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
And I'm still behind on the stream lag, so I will be commenting as I see the screen update.
Yep. Sorry.
So you will pick a name that is proper for the dev chatbot.
So we will say dev chatter.
It can be any name. It does not need to be dev chatter or anything like that. This is just going to be used for the account name, and it needs to be unique because those will be on a shared URL. But after that, we're going to be putting our own custom domain in front of it anyway, so that's not an issue either.
Okay, well, I'll just use dev chatter then.
You cannot have, dev chatter is good. So then the other thing that is important is that we're not using storage v1, which is now is general purpose v1. We want to switch to the v2.
Yep.
We might be changing this to v2 as the default one in the future. If you want to know why we're maybe not on v1 yet, you can watch the video I showed you. Basically, it explained that what everything runs on storage in Azure is basically everything. And we want to avoid disrupting those services. So before we start making big changes like that, we normally are very careful instead of being very reckless. So storage v2, that's what we want. We on purpose want to be on v2. That will enable a few other options. So we want to make sure that we're using the right location also to make sure that the things are going to be working properly. Options might show up, but might not work if you're not on the right region. Then in the replication, we're going to want to make sure that we're a locally redundant storage, which just means that we're not replicating our data through 25 data centers, and we're just using this simple storage in a single location. So LRS. Performance, we're going to keep at standard because we don't need premium. We're not handling VMs here. Access tier will be hot because cool means that basically you're being paid more for reads, but less for just storing the data there. So hot is good. Secure transfer required is not supported for the static website yet. So the static website only support HTTP for now and HTTPS through the CDN. So we're going to keep that to disabled, and it will not work anyway. And then pick a resource group. If you already have one, you should type it in. You should use existing, or you can create a brand new one by typing it right now.
Can I hyphen those? Yes, I can. Cool.
Yeah, resource group. If this is your first time on resource group, you should see them as folders. And after that, then we can start talking about resource group if anybody's interested about that. But basically, see them as folders, and after that, we can go into more depth into in what way they're not really folders and they're way more powerful than that.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and create this. And it should then go and provision all the stuff it needs for that and do that behind the scenes. And I can see it running.
Yeah, so the deployment progress is going to be right there. It's right behind my head. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. So deploying a new storage account in V2 is a little bit longer, I think, than V1. I don't remember exactly why, but it should be pretty quick. So we're just going to give it the good few seconds. Wait.
It only takes about a minute to go anyway. So
at most, it's what we call it's a two-step process when you deploy something on a cloud provider. The first thing you want to do is you want to provision the resource. This is basically creating the resource itself. You want to create a new storage account, a VM, or a pass host, or functions, whatever you want to host. You have to provision it, and then you have to deploy to it. So we're talking about pushing files. We're talking about pushing the code or whatever is going to run on it, or configure it properly. So it's really a two-step process. Now we just provision the account. So now we'll come to the homepage of DevChatter of storage account. So on the left side, on settings, you should see something called static website. And in parentheses, preview. That's where we're going now. And once you click on that, you're going to have the option to turn it on, and which is exactly what we're going to do. And this will give us two little information. First, those are the default value that if you don't type anything in there, that would be the default value that we have. So the first thing we know is that we have index.html. That is the default file. So if you ask for a folder, this is going to be the file it's going to be looking for. So if you're using HTML instead of HTML or default or whatever, you have to type it in there. And finally, the error document path is if you have a 404 or any other kind of errors, where do you want this page to go? So we might want to have a 404.html in there at some point.
Yeah, we don't have one in the site just yet, but we will create ours, I'm sure. So I'm going to go ahead and save this then.
And I agree.
Sounds good. Okay, so I love that it hid my primary endpoint from all of you in the Azure mask, so I don't know where that's going to take me.
This is basically not something weird. It's just if you type it in the URL, it's not really secret.
No, it really isn't. I just looked at what it actually had in there, so that wasn't secret at all.
No, it's not secret.
Yeah.
So if you can click on the $web.
Okay. So this will take me to the storage account, right?
The storage, Azure Storage Container.
Okay.
All right. So when you create a storage account, you can split it into different containers. And if anybody has used Azure before, containers were basically part of URL. So you had to be, the container was appended at the end of the root of the URL. So you had, for example, my storage account, .blob.windows.net, and you had / the container name. And that was problematic because if you're trying to do a static website, you cannot have slash something. Otherwise, it's not really your blog or your site or something else. It's owned by somebody else. So we introduced the $web, which is basically a root container, but we're going to put it on a different URL. As you can see now, we have nothing. So if you can, for now, just upload something that is going to be index.html, just so that somebody can see something.
Okay, so upload an individual file, huh?
Yeah, anything. Could be a hello world.html. Just, well, index.html with hello world inside doesn't really matter. Yeah, the Zelda clips are awesome.
They really are. I mean, I can play them all for you if you like.
Oh, if you have Zelda music to put in the background, man, I just love Zelda music.
See, everybody else gets to hear them. You don't get to hear them. I apologize. Yeah, sad. Sorry. They all got, well, I don't know how loud it was. It probably wasn't loud enough right now because I've got the audio adjusted for you. Maybe it was super loud. We'll find out. Let me go ahead and I'm going to upload our index.html file, and it's going to have some errors because I didn't send up any of the...
yeah, totally. I mean, it's not going to work. That's what we're going to say here. It's not going to work. And by the way, everything is behind my head, so I don't think people actually see what's going on.
Oh, that's fine. They can see it over here on the left.
So...
Oh, good. Oh, good. They could all hear it.
Awesome.
I was clicking hey and listen.
Awesome.
Which, if you know Ocarina of Time, that is, nightmare fuel for many of us. Okay, so I've got this out here. Index.html.
That and the water temple is horrible.
Well, yeah.
So, all right. If we go back to the static web, you remember the primary endpoint that it gave you. We can open a new tab and just type it in there. People are not going to be...
Oh, you mean go to the website?
Yeah, go to the actual website. That's something we want to do. Yeah, exactly. So we have, that's a special URL.
I got a 404 though.
Web content not found. What? Can you do, can you refresh?
Yeah, I just did. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so I didn't think index.html was my my file, I'm betting. Maybe I have to specify that.
All right, go back to the static website preview.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
In the breadcrumb. So, worst case, just retype it in. Warning, this is still a preview. It's like preview that we're not meant to be mass accessed by 25,000 people.
Okay.
And let's try to remove the index.html at the top now.
There we go. Okay, now it works. So it does want me to actually put that in.
All right. So now we have a website. And the thing is, that's awesome. But let's push it a step further. We have one file. So let's go to the Storage Explorer preview for fun. And we'll see our first problem that most people might encounter trying to publish their website.
Okay.
So if you go to Storage Explorer preview and you try to upload, I don't know, all the files on your website, you're going to go in web containers, you recognize $web, and you're like, I will click on upload and select a file. That does not seem to work. So that's still a preview. So the thing is, a lot of tools will not be able to upload thousands of files, and things like the Storage Explorer in the window that you have here will not be able to upload more than one file at a time. And if you're trying to do the other tools that can manage this Storage Explorer, like Visual Studio or anything else, they might not actually work at all.
Whoa,
even Visual Studio, upload one file.
It did multi-file.
Yeah, but it's not going to do your folder. No, it will not do all your folder. That's the problem. And the thing is, that's fun, but you need the folders. The folders are going to be important.
just a little.
Yeah, a little bit. So let's fix that up a little bit. Okay, because some people have heard about the Storage Explorer. And if you watch that video that we showed earlier, you will have the talk about GA of Storage Explorer and blah, blah, blah. The thing is, the current bits that you have available right now are not enabled for that. We have validation on names and stuff like that. And the $web will not work on the Storage Explorer that is available right now.
Yep, makes sense.
Just make static without folders. What are you? Are you serious?
No,
You're a madman.
Yeah, so you're not you're one of the developers. You're not used to Twitch. He put the Kappa emote in there. That's the Twitch sign that you're making a joke.
All right, it's he's a madman. It's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes, exactly. WTF Blub, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And by that I mean we have a lot of crazy people that watch this channel.
That's good. So,
Yeah. All right.
So
So how do we get this up here then?
So even though would be tempted to just do it through a UI, the thing is, at some point you will want to automate that. So one way or another, we're not going to get away from the command line. So if everyone remembers, Microsoft has been pro GUI since the beginning of times, and recently we've been on the CLI madness spree of putting CLI everywhere, and it's basically awesome. So if you can, here's the thing we're going to do. First, you will take that window off your screen, and you're going to be you're going to be setting the following. Wait up. Azure connection string, environment variable. Because the thing is, I don't want you to share your keys to everyone. And the default value for that is, I don't remember it.
So you want me to pull this off the screen?
Yeah, because the thing is, I don't want people to see your keys.
Sounds good. I don't want them to either.
So. Well, there's look at me. I'm back on Stack Overflow. I don't remember the name. All right, let's just do the Azure CLI thing. So if you open up the CLI itself, we can.
Yes, Arid tag.
Are you doing?
So I pulled up the.
Arid tag. I will show you how to set your storage connection string in a current environment. I just don't want you. I don't want everyone to actually see it. Are you using, by the way, PowerShell or not?
I can go either way on that one. What would you rather I use?
All right, let's do PowerShell because there will be a few things in there in case people need to fix escape.
Okay. I'm assuming I want to go to the folder where our code is.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It does not even need to be in the output folder. You can just be one folder above, does not matter. So you see here, I pasted something in chat. This is how you're going to be setting for the CLI your connection string for an environment variable. So I want you to do that off screen so that people don't see it, so that your Azure storage connection string actually works.
Okay.
So you can tell people where to get in the portal. Just don't click on it, otherwise you're going to have to reset your keys.
And that's in the access keys section in the settings, right?
Yeah. I just want people to actually see where it is, just not click on it.
Yeah, so I'm going to click on this access keys right here. This button. Right there. That one.
Access keys, yes. And inside of it, there will be the actual access key in a field called connection string. It will be also a second key in a second connection string.
Yep. And it looks like this. But
oh, you have one. Oh, do we have a screenshot for that? I don't know.
No, I tossed it up on screen very briefly so they could see what it looks like. I have it blurred out so they shouldn't be able to see the actual key value.
Yeah,
but then they would be able to see it when I put it inside of PowerShell.
Yeah, and in PowerShell, I want you to CLS the hell out of it, otherwise, to clear the window so that we can now start typing commands after that.
Okay, so it is CLS'd.
So do you have the Azure CLI installed?
I don't think so. So where do I go to get this?
If you type AZ, just AZ in your PowerShell command line.
Okay.
Do you have anything
else? AZ, I have nothing.
Okay, so we need to install the CLI.
Good.
So if you look on Google for Azure CLI, the first link should be install the Azure CLI 2.0.
Yep. I see it right there.
First link, install on Windows. You click on that.
Okay.
And you do download the MSI installer.
Yep. And then when that's done, I'm going to click on it.
Yeah. Yeah, those we can actually put on the front screen for everyone to see
because they've never seen an install wizard before.
Yeah, they need to know how good MSI are.
Yeah. I'm not going to drag that onto the screen for all of you. If I literally clicked the next button and that was it. I haven't made any decisions. It's just progress bars going. Yeah. If a decision comes up, I'll show you all.
All right. So the AZCLI is not .NET based. This is something that will work on Linux. This is something that will work pretty much everywhere because it's not been written in .NET. It's not been written in anything fancy. It's been written in Python.
Nice.
That is built 100% in Python. And it feeds off the different modules and component of the website. That is the portal and the management APIs that are in the back. Karma Lightwing. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, you can actually run that on a Raspberry Pi. You can manage your Azure cluster off of a Raspberry Pi. And the thing is, here's the thing. Let me just grab my phone here. Just turning on Azure. I don't need to get started. Won't be long. I actually want you to install a CLI, even though we might not need it in any other scenarios. Since we're going to be uploading files, we actually need it installed. Because the thing is, dismiss that. You see here on my phone, I have a lot of resources. But if I go right here, you see here, there's a thing called Cloud Shell. Oops, that's not the right one. Here, Cloud Shell.
Okay.
And what that gives me is a command prompt on my phone. So I can start typing command from my phone. I can control my cluster and everything else from my phone directly.
Nice.
I can do it from basically any browsers too. I can choose between PowerShell or even the actual Azure CLI 2.0 that we have. Yay! It works.
So we have this installed. So Azure CLI.
I want to make sure that you actually have the environment variables set up in there. I don't know if you closed the PowerShell window or not, but if you did, you have to reset your...
I had to close the PowerShell window, and I put the variable back in already.
Oh, that's good. All right, so let's do this. So what we're going to type now is Azure Storage, and you can keep the window open, and we're going to follow with people along with that. So. Okay. If you can just type Azure AZ Storage and press enter, we're going to get an error, and people will be able to see the kind of errors that we're going to follow with that.
Okay.
I just want to show how intuitive those kind of CLI are right now. So you see here, it says, well, we're missing an argument. So AZ Storage, what do you want to deal with? You want to deal with the account, with the logging, the metrics, the blob container, and share and directory. You can manage everything.
Mm-hmm.
What we're going to be interested about is uploading blobs, which is basically big, large binary object. I don't remember the actual terms for it, but it's large binary objects. And so we're going to be dealing with blob. Yeah, sorry, blob.
Yeah.
What the fuck, blob? Blob. I don't know, man. The red on blue is bad because it's PowerShell. Otherwise, it looks fine. So we're going to be doing AZ Storage blob. And we can press enter again because we know that's where we're going. So we're going to intuitively go towards what we need. This is, of course, going to give you an error. But here we have a list of commands. Can you move the PowerShell window just a little bit to the left?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yep. There we go.
So we here see that we have things like upload. But this is going to be uploading a single file. We have the same problem. We don't want that because we're going to be uploading file by file. It's going to be a pain. So we have this thing called upload batch. So let's do the same thing again. Do the AZ Storage blob upload batch. Press enter. It's basically let's fail and see what we're missing to do the operation. So here
Nice.
we see that there's a whole bunch of information. We could be using SAS tokens. We could be using patterns and where we want those data to be in and blah, blah, blah. Thing is, we don't need a connection string because we already put it into the environment variables. It's going to be picked up automatically if we don't mention it here. So that saves us a lot of problems trying to hide keys inside of a command window. So now, since we don't need a connection string, we need a destination. And the destination will be the container. So you will want to type -- destination.
Okay.
So the same command again, just -- destination. And you're going to have to type $web. Watch out, with PowerShell, $sign is actually a reserved character that will say variable. So you have to escape it with a backtick.
Yep.
That will work. But now we need to tell it what do we want to upload. So we'll do -- source. And you will type in the folder, the relative folder where your content that you want to upload is in.
Was it actually source? I didn't see it in the list. Or is it like SRC?
No, it is in the list. It's just right after the SAS token. There's right above destination.
Oh, wow, it's not on its own line. Oh.
No, I know.
Yeah, that explains why I missed that one. Yeah, I see it. It's right here.
Bug report. That will go into my feedback. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. All right, so now I choose my folder that I want to send up, which is that one.
Does not need to be absolute. It can be relative folder.
Okay. Yep. Got it.
We have our output. We have our source. And since everything is going to be outputting JSON, I want you to type -O to select the output and use table.
Wait, use table or table?
Just table. We have the option right above in the actual.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Yep. Makes sense.
And you press enter.
And I hope that I didn't mess any of that up.
It looks good.
Yeah, I think it's sending it. Karma Lightwing. My back tick is right above my tab key on the left-hand side, if you are looking for that still. Yeah.
All right. So now that we have uploaded everything, let's go back to the storage view, storage account in the Storage Explorer.
Yep. Opening that up now. And I'm going to open up $web, and I see the full thing with folders even.
Yeah. So now let's go back to the website and refresh on that awful index.html that we're missing 45,000 CSS.
Awesome.
So now, welcome to the world where you're hosted on Azure.
That is fantastic, right there.
All right. So now, the next step is, we need dev to hype.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, dev to hype.
So basically, what we did was basically just do the wire up and upload a bunch of files so that we can be hosted on a static website.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one last step before we can go further, and that is, well, your web.core.windows.net, that's not made for a great SSO website, right? Or the SEO or whatever that is.
Yeah, no one's going to look for dev chatter at devchatter.z4 webcore.windows.net.
No. So we need a custom domain. And the thing is, remember, guys, this is still preview. So if you want to have a custom domain, we're going to go back to the Storage Explorer view that you have on your other tab. So there's still a lot of stuff that are unintuitive right now. And it will be more intuitive as we go from this. You had to know about that link in a special presentation at a build that was presented for 1 hour to we're now in public preview. We have marketing dollars behind this. People can actually try and use it. They don't have to have the URL. They don't have to access the link. They don't have to know about it to use it. And so things will get better. So now you will have to scroll down. And on the left side, there will be something called custom domain. I think it's in blob service or maybe way below that.
Yep, found it.
All right, so here, what they tell you is that you create a CNAME record on your custom domain stuff. So you could have either a triple W or anything like that, and it will tell you to use devchatter.blob.core.windows.net, right? This is what's in the window. But it is not actually right, because it's still a preview, so that information has not been done. And the thing is, your www.devchatter.com will not work, because you have to set your own domain for that. You have to set the DNS beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you set your DNS? Well, you don't want to set it with the information that is there. You want to be actually using the endpoint that we're actually using right now.
Which is this one.
Yeah. Let me just... all hands, blah, blah, meeting, don't care. All right. So your endpoint will be the actual things that you're going to be using in your host domain. So if you go on test.myfullname.com, I've already set it up. It's something super simple.
Yeah, I got what you mean. Test. Did you say .com or .net?
.com.
Okay. Let's see if I can spell your name right. Hey, I got it.
All right. The thing is, if you go to my blog before, this will actually activate HSDS, because I use HSDS on everything. So everything is SSL by default. But the thing is, this is the URL that you would be using that I set on Hover. I use Hover for my domain hosting because it's just simpler UI. So here, see, the HSDS will not work. So you will need to actually say, yeah, it's fine. The SSL is not approved and blah, blah, blah.
Which basically means I get my warning, don't type in a bunch of credit card information into this website.
Please. It's because we don't do the custom domain, the SSL over custom domain. If it's something that you guys think that we should be doing, that's something that you could actually do feedback on. Yeah, contact me. I will make sure that those voices are heard. And I set it up, and it's basically super easy to do on any kind of DNS site. However, I can share you my, what is the URL that I use? Static. If you duplicate your dev chatter window, instead of dev chatter, can you type in static web app tree?
Static web app 3 into where?
Yeah. Duplicate your second tab.
Okay. Oh, static web app 3. There we go. Yep.
And that will take you to the exact same website that I am on right now. So I enabled it on my account too. It's just for tests. It's just fun. And if you use that URL and you bind it correctly, you can actually host my website. But I would have to type it into Azure itself so that we can actually serve it on the proper domain. So this is exactly what I did. And I took that and I put it on it, and it works. Personally, I use Cloudflare in front of it. And Cloudflare is another thing that right now, until we fix everything, that can actually put SSL on top of your domain. So it's not just doing DNS. It can actually do the whole thing with SSL and everything else. And let me bring you one thread. Troy Hunt about... So let me take you to this link here. I'm pasting in a Twitter link from Troy Hunt. And basically, he's talking about Avive in Pwn. Remember this little service called Avive in Pwn?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He runs it on a storage on Azure Functions. And most of his stuff is going through Cloudflare. So like over 85%, less than 85% of his requests are actually going through a CDN, which means that he's basically paying nothing for hosting pretty much all of his website.
Okay. So 84% are directly from Cloudflare cache. The remainder hit Azure Functions. There you go.
Yeah. And there is actually other, since he's not using that much resources out of it, it's actually free. So it's crazy. Anyway, so we could actually be doing the same thing. I mean, if you're going on Azure right now and you want the whole thing, you want a custom domain, you want the reserved compute, just like back in the days when you were on GoDaddy and so like, I want this website. You're basically asking GoDaddy, I want you to take this website and host it for me, and whatever that is, and I want you to host it.
Mm-hmm.
They will reserve you a spot on one of their servers. They will allocate resources to you, and they will ensure that your application gets served in a timely manner. But the question now is, why do you need a server? I mean, just like the dev chatter that you have right now, I mean, this is not a dynamic web app, right? This is basic website.
Yep, static website.
Why would you even pay $5 a month if you're on a website that nobody uses? Or if there's few usage and you don't want to be paying $5 for it. I mean, you're not Microsoft.com. I mean, you don't have millions and millions of views per month.
Yes, when your views measure in dozens or at most hundreds.
Why are you paying $5?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, you can afford a Starbucks coffee, but why?
Yep.
So static websites is basically an answer to that. As in, so there is attributes to a static website, which is basically does not run any dynamic web page and have to be static files. So we're just talking about index.html, we're talking about JavaScript, CSS, but nothing's dynamic. So this will not run any PHP or .NET or Ruby or any other constructs. It will not run. This is just serving static files. And what's the best place for domain these days? I use over till moment dog. And so you don't actually need to go full-fledged website. I saw a post by, what is this guy's name again? I think it's Scott Helm. He works with Troy Hunt a lot of times. And he basically showed this website by the NHS. I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's basically health services for the UK. And they were hacked. They were running crypto miners on their website. Why? We'll never find out, but I'm guessing it's because they were running an older version of Drupal with some probably unpatched 0 days on it, and they never updated it, so basically it got hacked. So when you're running a website like that, why do you actually even need to be dynamic? Why do you expose APIs or a management API for your website in front of like everyone? I mean, static website is just amazing.
Yep.
So
I think it is the answer to a lot of these kinds of things.
I feel like I'm rambling here. Am I rambling?
No, I think we're good. So one other option that I use for domain names, for example, is I use Google Domains, actually, as one option. I think it's actually another nice one for people that want different stuff. Sushinator, what are you talking about? DevChatter gets millions and millions of requests per month. DevChatter.com, the website that doesn't exist yet.
My blog does not even get like millions of views yet. So no.
I thought you were Scott Hanselman.
No, Scott Hanselman can actually. So here's the thing. I'm pretty sure Scott Hanselman's website could actually be optimized in a way that would be fine with a static website or not. It all depends on what you want to do. But my point of view is that most website right now could be just a static website. I mean, if you have a blog, if any one of you has a blog, or even this company webpage that says like, here's who we are, here's what we do. It can be anything, even a restaurant. You know, you go on a restaurant website and they don't have a shopping cart. They just like have this pictures and the menu and their location.
This website could be static.
Yeah, definitely. So everything in that page can be static. If you click on a tag cloud, any element on your tag cloud, you might say, well, you know what, that might mean that I need to be static. That means I have to be dynamic, right? Well, no. At the moment of generating the whole website, you know all the articles that should be in that tag. So why isn't it that pre-generated? And a whole bunch of stuff. So if you go to my blog if you replace the test by blog on my URL, so you don't have to retype my name again.
Yep.
Now the SSL will be supported. You'll be secure and you will be locked behind the HSDS. So you will have to remove it from Chrome at that point. And I can show you how. But basically, this is a static website, and it goes super fast. There's no warm up time. I mean,
yep.
That website, for all everyone knows, could be hosted on a Raspberry Pi, and you would not know about it. It is hosted on Azure, by the way. It's not hosted on my Raspberry Pi.
Oh, yeah. Oh man! It's not. And here I figured you had it sitting on your desk right there.
No, but if you click, for example, on the little RSS feed at the top right.
Yep.
That will bring you to a page that is basically XML and
also static, I assume.
Also static.
Yep.
So this does not need to be dynamic. The only component of my website that is actually dynamic, the comment section, and is using.
Are you using Discuss? Yeah. So, which means, so by using Discuss, what he's able to do is he's actually making a request out and using JavaScript on the page, and the comments section is coming from elsewhere. So that is on a separate server, and it just deals with the comments. So this is not really hosted on his site.
Yeah.
The Discuss piece. So keep in mind, we're actually going to be doing the same thing is what we're building on our, like, not the same site. You know, we're not building your blog. That's not what we're doing on Dev Chatter.
No.
But the same concept. So wherever we need something that's actually dynamic, it will be a, request out to something else.
Okay, so let's talk about dynamic, because obviously my website is super basic, and you might say, well, that's just it, right? It's just a blog, but my idea is more complex. I want code. I want to be able to host something. And my answer to that would be, well, it depends, really, because even if you have an e-commerce, do you really need to have a dynamic website? Because e-commerce is a way more complicated scenario. But do you actually need to have a static website? Does your product description changes every time?
Exactly. It's that the products, the descriptions, the features, that stuff doesn't change.
Nope.
So the dynamic piece is the cart. Yeah. And the cart can just be external web requests to an API. And so your whole front-end site can still be static.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's actually a Canadian-based company that does this. Static.
If you have a link, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. E-commerce cart, shopping cart. Let me find it.
Yeah, isn't that neat, everybody? I love the concept of static websites, because realistically, all we were doing was just last second building of the site, but now it's like you just build it in advance. All
right, so I will paste the link in the chat.
Arid tag. Search is actually not as hard as you think. So the way that search is actually always working behind the scenes anyway, that most people don't realize, is if you've ever used a tool that actually builds like real search, you are generating a search index. And so the idea is that search index gets created when you generate the static site. So the search index itself is based on all the content that's in it, so search index is easy.
The question now remains: do you need the full-fledged, full text search, like Elasticsearch, or can you just do something like a minimum viable product that would kind of work? Might be not full-fledged, but you would offer an API with Azure Functions, for example, that would actually do the search for you and return sensible results, because that would work too. So, by the way, Snipcart. This is something, it's a Montreal-based company. I don't have any kickbacks for that. It's just one company that I found on my way to static website religion, and it was awesome. The thing is, they allow you to just drop in a snippet of code, and it will handle the shopping cart for you. So you only have to tag your HTML stuff with, this is my product, this is the price, and blah, 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 and it will automatically pick it up and handle the whole thing for you.
That's really neat.
and they work with webhooks and stuff like that. So webhooks, what does really work really well with webhooks? Well, Azure Functions, 1 million free execution per month. I mean, it's basically as free as you can get.
Yeah, so basically that makes it so if you're a small scale thing, it's pretty much free.
Yeah, and if you're running a small website, let's say I'm selling soap out of my garage. Well, you have a static website with a few brand of soap that you're a few flavor of soap. Can you say flavor for soap? I don't know. The different products that you offer, and you just drop something like that. You can even build it yourself if you want. And the only thing you have left is money, because people will be ordering your stuff. You can just update your e-commerce, and you have your static site running, and then people will just pay you money. People will only cost you money when they actually reach the cart, and those people that will reach your cart will actually put things in a cart and stuff like that. So,
yeah, no, totally makes sense.
For sub-$1 a month, it's crazy.
Sushinator, you had you're totally right on a dynamic site, because you have to rebuild your search index regularly. We actually sort of solved that with a static site, because you rebuild it every time you rebuild the site. You just rebuild your search index.
So now we're talking about YM for Sushinator?
Yeah, so the tool that we did for our static site is YM, so I can just type YM and it does a whole build process here using our input and tosses it in an output folder. So
just to prove to people that we're actually running this live, because some people might have joined later, can you actually do a change on your input? For example, let's do a 404. Let's try to get our website running.
Oh, you actually want to set up a 404 page? Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's do. Let's try to head to a page that does not exist on your website first. See what we got.
So
browser.
Let me do this first.
/ whatever.
Okay. We're not going to upload it yet, but I'm going to create that. So let's go open up the site. We're going to go over here, and we're going to say, first off, I'm going to head to about.html. Well, actually, I can click the link. What am I talking about? Link should work.
Yeah.
So, oh, no, it didn't. Which I think means I need to fix the link, because this page does exist. It's right here. So my link is busted. That's on me.
Yeah. So the thing is, you're using an HTML extension, so you would have to create a folder called about with an index folder, index.html inside.
Yeah, if I wanted that link to work that we used. Yeah. But this works fine. But we saw the 404 page, which, I can just do this, and we'll hit the 404 page.
Slash about, and you will hit it. Yeah.
Yep.
So we need something custom for that.
So I created 404.md.
And you can just type in whatever you want. Could not find page or whatever.
Yep. And we didn't find that page. Did we mess up? Or did we? There we go. 404 not found. Let's see what this makes. So I'm going to regenerate the site right here.
Yeah. Once you regenerate the site, we will go back into our CLI. I'm going to re-upload the file.
Okay, so site is regenerated. So now I'm going to hop back into PowerShell, and I'm going to do the same command again. So that should do our upload again. Send all my files here up to the Azure storage that we have set up.
So there, by the way, there's also ways to not re-upload everything that already exists. But I haven't taken the time to actually check the switch. But for this sample here, it's quite easy for now.
So now I want to go back to, I'm fine with discarding that. What was the URL that it actually made? 404.html. So that's what we're going to put it in. So 404.html. And then save. So now the static website should be updated. And now when I go here, we are hoping, crossing our fingers, hey, there we go, 404 not found. There's our page.
So, tweet lags, stream lag. There you go. So that's easy as that. So we just created 404.html. That was super quick. We still don't have servers. you don't care about the servers because it's this Azure storage server. So Azure maintains those server, and if there's one service that is always up, it's storage. This is like the backbone of Azure. If that goes down,
your site's going down because the storage is down. Everything's going down.
Not just yours. There's way more that are falling down.
It's interesting though, because on the internet, we all know the times that whenever there's been an outage on any one of the major clouds, it's like a thing on the internet. Yeah. I remember when it was like, oh, like half of these sites are out. Like, what just happened? You know, like,
yeah, people were like, okay, let's try Facebook. Let's try Twitter. Oh, Twitter is live, but Facebook is up, is down, or Reddit doesn't work. So people are like, oh, they're using that cloud provider because they're down now.
Yes, exactly. So there's been a handful of times that any cloud has been down, but other than those times that we can all remember, they generally don't go down.
So let's get back a little bit to the implication of what we just did. So we just created content of VS Code. So you don't even actually need Visual Studio, by the way. And we created all of this content that was uploaded through the Azure CLI, which can be on any kind of build system. You don't need to use VSTS. You can use your simple machine. You don't need this build system for altogether at all. We could actually have that running anywhere. It could actually be ran out of, I think, an Azure function itself. What can also be done?
So could we set it up so that we're, say, watching our GitHub repository, detect a change, and automatically run like YM somehow and rebuild it?
Detecting a change is so like, I don't know, 2000?
Yeah, okay.
There's webhooks on GitHub, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So yes, we could definitely do something like that. I think it's a little bit out of that would bring me out of time a little bit, but those are the kind of scenarios that we could explore in the future. One thing I have to work on is that we announced a new CDN for Azure at Build, or own CDN, that I will need to test it out with that system before I go forward with saying it's awesome, because I don't say it's awesome unless I actually tried it. Uptime. The stream has been going for an hour. Wow.
Yeah.
So another question people might be asking about this is, what about collaboration? What about all of this kind of things that I might be interested about, that we're not just a single person editing a website? What if we don't use GitHub, or we're using something else? Static website generation is still very much important, because what you have right now can be generated by anything. You're using YM, right? So this is .NET.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know a guy that is doing static website generation like that in the community. He's been running conferences for a few years, and everything is generated out of Fortran.
That's impressive.
I mean, it is Fortran. I mean, it's not awesome. It's not the best language in the world to do web, but he's still using static page generation.
Because if all you're doing is making HTML files, it doesn't really matter which programming language was. You could have done it in C++.
Yep, that's pretty much what he does. And the thing is, you could actually be running all of this and, I don't know, pick a language, any language that is dead or alive or in the future, and it would still work. And the thing is, if you have a Docker container with that specific language set up, your build system is basically forever. Because as long as you can run containers, you can run that specific environment, and no more have you, well, we don't have the machine that works it and that can work it and produce that content anymore. Well, that's not true. You have a Docker container which does everything out of CLI, which is pretty much all we need. Yep. So you could be using like a tool that is 16 major version behind and still have this perfect website running, no problem.
Yeah, I would love to see what someone has set up for that, because that really is the nice thing about the containers, is that you can pretty much get away with whatever you want, and because you can have a container for this, you can really do any build system you want as long as it eventually generates HTML, and you're effectively setting up your own, I'll say, equivalent of a very simple alternative to, say, ASP.NET or something like that.
Yeah, the thing is, ASP.NET is still fine. I mean, I did a blog post at some point. I think it's called Poor Man Static Site Generator. And that's something I did with ASP.NET Core, like in the early days. I don't remember where it is. All right, site.
Found it.
Did you?
This one?
Damn, you're good.
Oh man, I there's this crazy new feature. It's in this browser that I'm using here, Chrome. I hit the Control key and I hit F, and then I can search for whatever I want on a page. It's really impressive. Did you guys hear about this new feature?
No, I haven't. So this is basically static content generation in ASP.NET Core that was like back in 2016. So that was probably on 1.0 or 1 point something. Okay. So if you scroll down, and that's just one hacky way I found of doing that, is basically you use the ASP.NET Core architecture against itself. So what I did is I created a middleware, which basically it's a middleman that puts itself in the request pipeline. So the request pipeline comes in. I'll see on the window here. So the request pipeline comes in, and your request goes in and then comes out. So you know exactly how it came in, and if you're at the right place in the pipeline, you also exactly what came out. So you have a URL and you have content. Magic. So this is basically what it does. Is I automatically create files on disk. And if that pipeline detects that the file does not exist at the location it should be, it creates a static site. It creates a static file with the output HTML.
Nice. Okay. And so essentially you generate the pages as they're needed. So it's like a just-in-time static site.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I like it.
So, and what do you need for that to be full feature? Well, you need a crawler. That's all you need.
Yeah, and then it would essentially just static gen the site. As long as it was a link to something, it would get it.
It would still be dynamic. You would still be running .NET Core. You would still need a whole freaking pipeline to run it. But the thing is, if I can do that locally, crawl my whole website locally, I just generated a website from ASP.NET Core by a local host. And then the only thing I need to do after that is take the output folder where I cached all the files and just ship it.
Yeah, which essentially would mean that you could effectively use this to get yourself a static site, so you wouldn't have to be actually running ASP.NET, and then you just need to be able to respond to like data changes and things like that.
Exactly, and you could probably do that with any other frameworks. It's just a very hacky way of doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, there's many ways to reach the static website stuff, but the thing is, we just have to realize that we're all building static website. It's just how much time are you changing the content, the actual content?
Yeah, because most of the sites I build, I don't like the content doesn't change all that frequently.
What are they playing on chat right now?
This is a game of Hangman that's going on in chat.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't know what that word is.
I have no clue. It looks like.
Oh yeah. Oh, wait. I know it. Sniped. Got it. I win. Yeah. Got in there. Got it. Yeah. Hey, that wasn't rigged. That was fair and square that I won that game of Hangman. See?
What was the word?
Parameter.
All right. Nice. So they know the names. I swear it's not rigged. Nice.
Yeah. All right, here you go, everybody. Have a new word. Maybe this one will be easy.
So anyway, that was a little bit of the extent of the things that I wanted to talk about on static website. This is a subject that's been a passion for me for the past 3 years.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Most people don't know that they're actually building static website out of dynamic pieces. if you remember back in the days, people were actually building static website with Dreamweaver, stuff like that, or front page.
Notepad.
Notepad. Notepad.
Dreamweaver, yeah.
That brings back memories. But the thing is, we were building those stuff. It's just that we dropped the static website because we needed dynamic. But then at some point, if you're thinking about everything that is going out today, why do you actually need dynamic? I mean, most websites I have online right now don't need dynamic. I mean, even the homepage of most dynamic website don't need dynamic. And only, for example, if let's say I order Domino's pizza, the home website don't need to be dynamic. Orders that Domino's.com might be dynamic, but the rest don't actually need to be. I can have the whole menu available and still be available for browsers and crawlers and everything else to get a good SEO, but do I really need a dynamic part of it?
Nope. In fact, there's a lot of benefits if it's static. So effectively then they just need to have like the cart be dynamic, and eventually like the order placement that you get to at the end needs to be pulled from some kind of API in their system. Yeah. So even when you get to the like, the page where they're like, oh yeah, we're making your order, and they show like some animation of someone making pizza, like that's just JavaScript. And that's calling into some API that's on another server. That doesn't need to be part of their website.
So that's the whole point about serverless that like impressed me, is that we're not making money unless you're making money. The thing is, before you start paying a lot of money for storage or Azure functions, you actually need to be serious in having a lot of requests on your website to do those kind of things. And if you're having a lot of requests on a website that, for example, allows you to ship soap all around the world, you're actually making money. And it's only then that we're actually making money on our end, because we're not billing you that much after that.
Yeah. So because how many you were talking about requiring a lot of executions before you actually get charged? Was it 1 million?
All right. So if we're looking at Azure Functions pricing, because since I don't sell the product, I don't actually remember all the numbers.
To be honest, I have no idea what any of them are either, because, well.
So, okay, if I'm on the Azure Pricing, azure.microsoft.com/pricing/details/functions. And basically what we give you is 1 million free executions per month. So this is an execution. So if you run it once, whatever amount of seconds, doesn't matter, is going to be 1 million. You have 1 million for free, and it counts for one.
And then it's 20 cents for the next million,
which is nothing. If you can afford Starbucks coffee, or if you can afford GoDaddy, you can afford that. So, and that's just for the dynamic part. So the execution time itself, it's where basically we're looking at your request that you do with Azure Functions, and we're looking at a process that you're starting, and we're monitoring the amount of memory it's using, and we allow you to use 400 gigabytes for each seconds of execution that you're running. So if you have a process that runs for less than a second, and well, we're only charging you like for the amount of memory you're using. There's actually a minimum. I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
Oh, so they have an example here. So a single function execution is 100 milliseconds and 128 megs. So that's each execution is 128 megs. So you can use up to 128 megs of memory before we crank it up to the next level. So it's still a lot of executions for 400 gigabytes. It's 400,000 gigabytes. It's not even 400 gigabytes. It's 400,000. It's huge.
Basically, it's low enough that if you're a company that actually is like putting a huge system on this, it's going to cost you money. If you're anything else, it won't.
Yeah. So basically, that's the whole point, is that we're not making money unless we're making money.
Yep.
And if you're at that point where you exceed those free tier, you have a lot of requests coming in, dude. Even if you don't have a way to make money out after that, well, I don't know. Check your budget, check your business model.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So, and after that, I think it's like 0.0000. I don't know if the amount of zeros okay, but 16 gigabytes after that every time. So it's like it's nothing. It's really nothing. And storage, I think, is still very cheap. Most of the time, you should be able to handle it for the price of a Starbucks per month, and with still having some money left for a scone.
Makes sense. Cool. So the next thing I have to figure out is how to get a nice webhook set up so that when I update the site on GitHub, I automatically get my static website updated.
So I have about 10 minutes left on my side. So I can show you real quickly on GitHub how you can do that.
Okay, cool.
I am very entertaining. Awesome. Thanks, Sushinator. You have a French name there. Sushi and Nator is like French. It's very French sounding. So you have your devchatter.com. I think it's in settings.
Okay. Settings. Webhooks.
Yep.
Add webhook.
And
pull that off screen.
Lag. Just in case.
Yeah. I don't know what shows up on the webhooks page. Looks like nothing right now.
So GitHub allows you to have plenty of webhooks for a lot of stuff. So Microsoft uses GitHub a lot. I mean, there's a reason why we bought them, I guess. I have no clue about the why.
Actually, I do know why they bought them. So Phil Hack used to work at Microsoft, and he went to go work at GitHub, and they wanted to get him back, so they bought the company to do it.
Too.
Yes. Basically, Scott Guthrie is like, hey, I liked working with this guy. Can we rehire him? And they're like, oh, that'd look weird if we hired him back again. Like, let's just buy his whole company.
Yeah.
So
you have a $7 billion left in your pocket. Yeah, I think I have that. Wait up a minute.
Yeah, no, Phil Hack is actually an amazing developer. He was I think he was the guy that was, wasn't he? So he was on the ASP.NET team back when they started doing MVC.
When MVC was actually open source. That's where the EXE was there.
Yes. So you can understand why then he's the type of guy that would go to GitHub. But hey, I'm glad he's back at Microsoft because I liked working with him. So, okay, so what do I need to set up here in order to webhook my way over into Azure?
So we don't have anything else in Azure right now to handle it, but the payload URL would be where you would be putting your Azure Functions URL that would be handling your events.
Okay.
And the secret would be something that I don't remember doing any GitHub webhooks in the past, but that would be where the secret would be copy pasted, where you would be able to handle this.
Okay.
To security handshake, basically. So if you scroll down, you have the choice between just a push event, send me everything, or let me select individual events. So we will do let me select individual events because you don't want to have everything, because otherwise it's just goes crazy.
Yep.
And there you go.
So probably just pushes to
a specific repository. That would be one. Or it could also be when somebody does a release. I don't know. That could be the kind of things. Or here's another thing that let me see. Scroll up a little bit. Yeah, pull request. So let's say that you want to have a draft version of your website, and you do a PR. So you can have a separate version of your app that, I don't know, is on this hidden URL, and that you would be able to view the changes before it actually hits the website.
Mm-hmm.
So you could do those two things. And after that, we have tutorials online on how to do it. I haven't tried it out myself. So that would be where those are the two events that you might be interested about. Pull requests only if you are interested in doing a draft version of your website, where you want to see a pre-release version so that you're fine with everything that's going to be going in prod. And once you do your actual merge, well, everything becomes an actual push. So, boom, now you're in production.
Yeah, so I would assume then that the content that's sent out on this webhook when we get a push probably includes which branch was pushed to. And so then we could, I assume on the Azure Function side, look to see, was this the master branch, and respond accordingly.
Yeah. GitHub,
I would assume.
GitHub webhook format. They actually have a lot of let me see.
Oh, there's an article on create a function triggered by a GitHub webhook. It looks relevant.
What we're interested is payloads. So if you have on the add webhook, you have a developer on your page add webhook, you had also a link for their payload. But we do have samples with the function apps that will allow us to do those kind of things too. Completely at the top, there's a link in the little description.
Payload. There it is.
I would love to see example of payload, but basically, just below, example delivery. So see here, you could actually respond to the different actions on which issues, which numbers, which repo, who did it, and blah, blah, blah. And you could actually do further validation out of that. There's a lot of stuff that could be done.
Yep. No, it looks good.
So there's so much that can be done at that point. It all depends on where you want to go. Myself, I'm gonna have to go, but I hope I sparked a few good ideas. I mean,
yeah, I think so.
I think we already have a website running in preview, and somehow preview.
Yeah, we'll call that preview. So. Yeah, no, it's good. Now I just need to go mess with DNS to point to that, and then the website is up and running. And when we were on the video that you had linked to in the beginning that showed this feature, they did mention that June was going to be the public preview. And so since we're in the month of June, sometime before it ends, we'll probably get a public preview.
Yeah, so what does the public preview means? It means that you will actually see a blog post about that feature. It might not be a whole blog post with 25 sections. It might just be one paragraph or two paragraphs and a screenshot on one of the major blogs on Microsoft. And suddenly you will be able to go into the previews and either click on try it now, or it will pop up across all of your different portals. It's just most people will never click it, never going to try it, and it's still going to be flagged as preview. So most people will not even touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't recommend for anybody that's doing a business application that you ever try and take any Microsoft preview and go live with it for any kind of business purpose. But as a developer, if you want to mess around with it, sure.
So here's the thing: the actual rule around preview is we don't have any SLA. You don't have any guarantees that this stuff is still going to be running at any time of the day. So if you're spending money out of that, in this case it's pennies, so we don't really care. But let's say you take any other services that is in preview right now, and you're spending $30 a month on it. If it's in preview and we fail, the rule that are in the book is basically you don't get credits for that.
Yep, which makes sense. It's in preview, and they warn you about that.
We warn you. That might be different based on teams. I don't know. I don't know how they handle the payment because, like I said, I'm not on the sales side, so I don't have no clue about that. But that's the rule in the books that if it's in preview, you don't get SLAs. We cannot guarantee you that you're going to have this 99.9% uptime. This is the preview stuff. Once we hit public preview, it's still in the same rules. Once we go GA, which is general availability, that's when all SLAs actually applies. So if you have a website that is static, that is not working for for 3 days, well, you might be available for refund on the money you spent.
Yep, makes sense.
So that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Cool.
Can we take a few minutes if people have questions in the chat? I don't know if I missed something.
Yeah, no, ask any questions in chat, everybody. We can both see the chat, so if you have any questions before you have to duck out of here.
Sushinator, by the way, you can still run a static website on a Windows 98 machine. That's the beauty of it.
That is technically true. I don't know why you would want to.
You can. Actually, if you can, you know what, it would be awesome? You can run a static site generator on a Commodore 64. That would be epic.
Yeah, epic in some ways. Yeah, one of the things I really like about the Twitch live stream approach is that a lot of the questions get asked as we go, because there were a bunch of questions that just come up. So if you guys don't have questions,
let's see if I scroll up.
Ace Flames here. He'll certainly be invited back.
Anyway, so I think that this stream was awesome. Will you join us again? Yes, I will. If I'm invited again, I will come back. Production app in Blazor. That's something we could arrange. That would be awesome. This is still an experiment. That is like not even a preview. That's an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
The experiment means it exists today, might be gone tomorrow. All right, more jokes. IE6.
Yeah.
It's not a real website unless it works in Netscape Communicator.
Yeah, the thing is, though, if you're using a static HTML site, it's actually easier to get more browsers to work on it, because you can control exactly what HTML and know in advance what it is.
Yeah.
So every time, there's no like, make sure it generates in all scenarios exactly the way you want. No, you generate it once, you make sure the files are right. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing that is also awesome is once you have a website already generated like that, it's super easy to replicate. So if you're thinking about if you build your application in a static way with a static mindset, things like CDNs are just easy to apply, because you basically say, oh, no, cache everything. API is in a separate URL.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Boom. Easy rules.
One of the nice things about that then is that you can also you can just tell the browser, hey, cache the heck out of this thing. We don't, we don't change it very often.
Yeah.
So they won't even make the request. So.
And here's another crazy idea. The system that actually hosts your static website and the one that generates it don't even have to be like, you have to see it in two ways. Static is just the output, right? So the way you generate it, it could be WordPress. Mm-hmm. Just like I showed with ASP.NET Core with a poor man's static website, you can have a full CMS that just outputs all the content and you're good to go.
Yep. No, it'd be good. Okay. Any other questions?
Async awake? Yes, it will be. Azure is the place to host that, especially with Azure Functions. If you have small API window of small amount of calls that you want to do, this is actually easy and super cheap. If you have big amount of APIs with databases and stuff like that, you might want to have a full website, full API application. That might work better. For now, at least it's easier to understand because everything is under one app. But Azure Functions have their own way of deploying stuff, so it's kind of a little bit different.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some Azure Functions stuff on stream at some point. Haven't yet, but it's on the list.
It's crazy to do.
Yes.
So I have more things to do on my side. I have to cut this off, otherwise it's just gonna be crazy. But I will keep watching. I will be on stream on the chat window again, just not on live because I still need to work. I have other things to do.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for walking us through that.
My pleasure. Cheers, man.
Yep. See ya. All right, there we go. Yes, yes. Everybody make sure you say thank you. That was nice. A lot of good information. All right, let me go ahead and I can turn this stuff back on. Okay, there we go. So now for the rest of the stream, a couple of things. Async awake. Which branch are we on? I will go switch to that. You missed the video. There is a video. So for anybody who came in late, you want to catch the beginning of this, you missed any part of this, this is all recorded and has a hilarious beginning because I was talking in the beginning of it in the beginning audio, which is, you know, my bad. But if you do want to see it, all you have to do is go to the video section in the top part here. And if you go ahead and click on videos, you can actually see all of our previous videos. And this will update with a better slide once the video is done. But this one is actually our current one. You can actually start watching this right now if you wanted, but I'd rather you stay here and finish watching this and catch the beginning later. But for anybody else that's wondering, all you have to do to catch our old videos is to go back in there and you can see any of the old ones that we've done. So, in addition, if you want to catch any videos that we've done in this channel that are not still on there, because Twitch does not keep them around forever, best way to do that is to check out our YouTube channel, which has all of our earlier videos, and we will be adding our videos just as we go. I will be pushing more and more of them over into YouTube as well. You asked, have I tried React? I have experimented with React before. I have used Angular before. Yes, Async Awake, there is one video that's missing. I know. I will have I have to track that down at some point, and the problem is they're not named, so I'd have to literally go check every single video and compare to find that one. So I will find it at some point. So I will find it. It's just that actually requires a good amount of work to get in there. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to mention. So first off, let me get background music now that we're not pairing anymore. Background music required. I've also experimented a little bit with Vue.js, and after looking at all of them, I kind of want to use Vue.js on the stream. So I will probably put chat on the case. Yeah, that is actually a very good point, Karma Lightwing. If someone else knew where that file was, I would gladly push it up there. What was I going to say? Yeah, so we'll get that one up there, but Vue.js is, I think, the one that we want to look at. So I am going to try to find someone that knows Vue.js already and uses it, pull them in, and have them work with us on that. So the problem, Sushinator, is that it's not in the videos section. So it might be on YouTube, and it would be one of the early ones. I think Async Awake is looking for the beginning of our chatbot. So I believe that's the video that we're looking for. Okay, so you were wondering what our current branch is. This is the one that has the error that we need to fix. So let's go ahead and knock that out. So for anybody that's wondering, all the code that we do here on chat, all the regulars know this already, but everything we do in chat here on DevChatter is out on GitHub at github.com/devchatter. I am going to go ahead and build this. We're going to track that down and fix it up. And for anybody who is interested in chatting with us further, head on down to our Discord, which I will link in chat as well. And our Discord channel is where a lot of us communicate about things that we're working on, and essentially anybody that's contributing to the project is usually talking about their contributions in there. So if you did want to do a pull request or something like that, or really had any questions about setting up the projects we do on here, that is the place to do it. Okay. So the problem I'm running into here is that I need to put loggers in these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a field. So we're going to make the logger adapter. But actually, we are going to do this out here. So essentially, I want to pass in this logger adapter into each one of these. So, comma logger adapter. Because I added logger adapter to the constructors of those, and now that actually needs it. Can I move up this? Could you move up on the chat window about 10 points so we could see the current branch? Oh, the current branch is right here. Benrick adding more logging is what we're actually in. I think that was the question. Oh! Yeah, it would show it down there. Yeah. I gotcha. Yep. I will adjust that just a hair so you all can see that. Actually, I'm going to do that off stream. Yeah, exactly. So you can see the status bar down there. Yep, I get it. I will fix that, and we'll have that better next time. And the reason I'm not moving it right now is I want to put those in a group together so that I can move them as one piece, because that's actually layered there. It's kind of weird. Setting things up in OBS and OBS Studio and that sort of thing there's some tricks you need to do if you want to do it nicely. So I wasn't looking. Did I have an error? Yes, there's one more. Okay. Where are we? We're in here. This is fake command thing. Setting this up so down here, new one of these with a new null logger. There we go. Okay. Yes, SignalR is going to make a lot of things better, actually. So, okay. That is fixing the build error. Okay, so at the end of last stream, I was wrapping up right at the end and actually had to get going, so I just committed what we had just so it was saved and not just local to my computer. But that, of course, meant that I pushed up a broken build, because that's what always happens. Whenever you're in a rush to get out the door and you commit, you break the build. Luckily for me, I'm working on my own feature branch, so it doesn't matter if I break my branch. So that is one of the reasons why you want to work in feature branches, is because when you do need to just commit and get something up there, it's not a big deal if you break it, because you didn't break it for anybody else. So, do you get the logger adapter via DI in the real code? Yes, Sushinator. That all comes in through DI. Karma Lightwing. Ah, that's too bad. Take care. Have a nice evening. Yes, exactly. The problem is that I wanted to be able to use the code on my laptop later, and so committing is the best way to do that. Commit and push it up inside in your own branch, and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So now that should be good, and no more errors, and we will wait for that to build. So I am actually excited now because our website will exist soon. I just have to update DNS to point to this. So I like the idea of using that piece, so I think that'll be good. Let's go ahead and open up GitHub, and we are looking at the bot. That is this pull request here that's building. And essentially AppVeyor is going to do this for us, and then when it gets back, that is when we will know whether or not it built or not. But it seems like it did locally. So I tend to push this stuff up first and then go and check everything because of the fact that AppVeyor takes a little while. So we're on a free AppVeyor account, so they don't charge anything for it, but they don't dedicate any resources to us either. Okay, and all the tests are passing as well, so that is fantastic. You can make an Azure function that connects to a SignalR service. Janisku, what do you want to solve with your Azure function and SignalR service? Okay, so we got that going. Let's take a look at some of our other code. Oh, I'm going to close that. We don't need it open anymore. Whoops. Okay. Other things I want to mention. So we did not talk at the beginning of this stream. I do want to mention this to people that are new here, that I want to mention our schedule, because it is up here. I'm working on getting our next pair programmer on the stream, but I want to talk to everybody about our schedule. So, because anybody that's new here doesn't know, we actually stream 4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So you can actually catch our stream. We usually stream for about 2 hours. Sometimes we usually go long rather than short. And our next one will be on Thursday, and it'll start 2 hours earlier than this one did. So it's our early stream. It starts at about noon my time, which for Europe means it's about in the evening. So if you're in Central European summertime, for example, it's around 6 p.m. your time. And in the US, it is morning and just into the afternoon is when my Thursday streams start. And we just did this Azure pairing stream that we were working on. And yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. So for anybody that doesn't know, what we usually are building in this chat is our dev chatter bot, which I just triggered in the chat window over there by starting up a game of Hangman. And it started with the letter T. I am not sure what the letter T is in this one. I don't know what the word that is. So we can play Hangman with the bot, and that's one of the things that we like here, is playing some of these games. I want to get to the web part, but we've been a little distracted by doing some of the other things. I don't think that's the word. What is that? I don't know what this word is. So we have T blank blank ER. It's apparently not timer. Wow, how is it not timer? Tiger! Tiger! Hey, there you go, Air Tag. Nicely done. And welcome, Hydro. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Okay. So it is fun. That game is as fun as it is. Just a simple game of Hangman. Which actually makes a good point. I was just thinking about this. I am going to add something else to our issue list. Not for this one, but for our dev chatter bot. See? There you go. Now Streamlabs just acknowledged you too. So welcome. Thank you for following. Hopefully that means you're enjoying the stream today. So I want to add an issue on here because I have a new idea for a game that I think will work well both in the chat and I think could also work potentially up on the screen somewhere. New game idea. Tic-tac-toe. Would be cool to play tic-tac-toe with voting against the bot. Don't make the bot a perfect opponent, though. Possibly have the chat segmented and playing against each other. Something cool and fun could be in this. Let's figure it out. Okay, so there's our new idea. I like that idea. I would love it if someone helped out with that. But that's as an idea for a game. No, we're, yeah. So, yeah, so I was thinking about it, and I actually think it could work async awake. Without having an idea of how it would work, it's tough to say. So the couple of things I'm thinking is that we could potentially have something up on the screen, and you'll notice I meant don't make the bot perfect, because the problem with tic-tac-toe is that you can play perfectly. So I can tell you I cannot lose at tic-tac-toe. It is impossible because I know the tricks, right? So there are so few moves in tic-tac-toe that once you know everything that could mess you up, you can never lose. In fact, in a lot of there are a number of games, including like checkers, for example, that computers can just map out the whole thing, so they know every possibility because you can just run through that, and you can make a computer that can never lose at it. Well, that's no fun. So the options are either you make a not so smart AI opponent, so just like not an idiot, but you could potentially win against it, or the other option is that you let chat compete, and you maybe split us into two different groups and do something where we vote on what we want the move to be. And I think if we wanted to do that, we'd have to go some kind of whispering route. We may have to leverage whispers to do this. So something like that. Yeah, so exactly, Arid Tag. So it could be some kind of group thing, and like we choose which AI level we want, and if it happened to choose perfect, then that means no matter what we did, the best we could hope for is a tie game. Okay, so I think that's kind of a cool one. I like that idea. Let's take a look at the code that we did last time, which should be right here, plus our changes to the okay, so this was fixing that null reference exception that we did yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I can't approve these changes because I'm the one that did them. So, okay. So that looks good, and it's ready to get merged in. So I will do that probably right after the stream. Let's see. Azure SignalR service is so cool. Yeah, so I really need to dig into that a lot more, Janiscu. I think it'll be quite fun. Hydro, you just starting to use Azure Functions at work. Yeah, so sadly, the stuff I'm doing at work right now, I don't have I don't have the opportunity to use Azure Functions at work right now, but I know a number of people that mess around with them a lot. It's been on my to-do list to bring people on and figure out some stuff we can do with Azure Functions. So I will probably do that. So we have a couple of people that are interested in that of our, potential guests. I'm really glad that you liked our guest today. I think he is pretty awesome, and he will definitely be invited back. Azure SignalR service, you can make a function without making ASP.NET backend for SignalR. That sounds great, Janiscu. So essentially, you can set up SignalR that could be communicated with from a client and talk to your Azure function or something. Is what that sounds like? Is that accurate? So if so, that sounds great, and I will definitely have to mess around with that. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to mention before we wrap up here, because I don't want to dig in much further. We got a small amount of code, looked at a couple of things, but primarily we were in Azure Stream today. and I don't want to jump into a second thing. So what I'm going to mention is, first off, I want to welcome everybody who just showed up, and I want to thank everybody that was here and hung out for most of the stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you missed any of it and you want to see everything we went over, everything we talked about, everything we covered, you can start from the beginning by checking out the videos section here on Twitch, or if you're on YouTube, obviously you could start the video from the beginning. And why would you want to start that? Because if you got here, you probably were already watching that. Anyway, all the code that we do on stream, including the stuff that we pushed out to our website, is out on GitHub at github.com/devchatter. It is right in there. And then, in addition to that, if you want to keep chatting with us afterwards, I highly recommend you join our Discord. There are actually a bunch of us in there, so you can chat with us. Don't be afraid of talking, asking questions, things like that. There are people in there that do, and there are other people that are in here in the chat, so you know they're also interested in, you know, tech and programming and things like that. So it's a good group of people. And other things I want to mention. So I did mention before that we stream 4 times a week, and that is our schedule. I just posted in chat. So our bot actually has a schedule command. And if you don't want to use the bot to check the schedule, you can scroll down below here on Twitch, and there's a panel down under the video that has what our schedule is, and that will convert it into your time zone. But you'll notice I passed -4 into the schedule, so that converted into my time zone. So, for example, if you are in Central European time zone, so Central European summertime, it would be this as our schedule. And if you want to catch our old videos, whoops, they're not at yeah, helps if I type it right. They're out at YouTube, out there. And if you want to check out our bot and work on it, mess with it, do your own thing, we do have our documentation for how to set up the bot locally that you can check out, and you can run the same bot we do. It's got a lot of fancy things that make it nice. Did I break the bot? No. Hydro, make sure you pass your minus sign there. So, like, I do -4, for example. But you just need to know your time zone, because we don't have a default one. I guess I should set that to send UTC. So we'll say that schedule command should post UTC if no offset specified. There we go. What did I do? Okay, and then the thing I want to do is I want to add an alias. Yeah, exactly. We should probably post UTC by default, but you can do this to see UTC. If you just pass in 0, that'll list the time in UTC, so if you know how to convert from UTC into your time, then that will get you covered right there. Other than that, I think we're about good. I definitely want to wrap here, because I've got some stuff I have to do today, so this stream is definitely just going to be a 2-hour one. And I do want to thank everybody who stopped by, everybody who followed, everybody who was chatting, and I want to thank everybody for being awesome to our guest, Maxime, today. And I will apologize again for everyone whose name I butchered, including our guest and everyone who followed today, who I thanked. I do my best, and yes, thank you, thank you. I don't think I pronounced your name that badly, but you know, again, I've got a nice American accent, and we will see you all on Thursday for our next stream. So, and it starts 4 hours before now. So, have a great one, everybody, and thanks. Take care.